Hi, welcome to ControlTalk Now, your smart building videocast and podcast for the week ending September 27th, 2020. This is episode 379, where we talk about all things smart building controls. And what would a show be without your co-host and mine, the man, the myth, the legend, don't call him a bobblehead, Kenny Smyers, the control man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show, big dog. So there is some significance with this, which will become apparent as the show goes on.
Right.
Kenny and I were gifted this by a really innovative company, 4 or 5 years ago, and they're going to be our guests this week. But man, I tell you what, I think both of our bobblehead dolls are better looking than we are. I hate to say it.
Well, they're younger looking anyhow, huh?
Yeah, a lot younger looking, yeah.
Well, that was a nice, like you said, that was a nice surprise from the crew or the two guys that we're going to interview here shortly. They had they did it to some of the industry people that had been around for a while. It's I think a token of recognition and appreciation. So it was a very nice touch. And again, it's one of my favorite little things. I got it.
Mine too.
I love me panel wall there, and or group cluster, whatever the heck it's called. But
when we do the interview with these two guys, you'll see why. They're innovative. They're just good folks, do a good job. And, they're thoughtful. What a thoughtful gift. My 5-year-old and 7-year-old just love this bobblehead of me. They think it's the coolest thing in the world. So I am I'm like the hit at show and tell in kindergarten. My bobblehead is anyway.
They're hard to keep from knocking over and breaking. I had some of the Pirates and the Steelers gave away stuff like that. But I remember the Pirates, the most valuable one I had was Bill Mazeroski. He made the Hall of Fame or whatever. Yeah. And I met him as a kid, got his autograph and everything. So I had a little thing of him. Wouldn't you know, I knocked it over, and the bobblehead is kind of like lopsided, top heavy. It broke. So
what a bummer, dude. Well, listen, what you been up to, man? Well, last week we ran an episode of a previous episode of Ibicon Realcom, where we were on with Mark P talking to you and interviewing some great people, and that was kind of by design because Jim Young and those guys got their conference coming up in October. It looks like it's going to be virtual, but
well, it's going to be both. It's going to be the 26th. It starts. It's going to be the virtual part of it. And it's going to transition into, they actually call it pivot and transition into the actual in-place physical part of the show that begins October 28th and will run through the 30th. They're going forward. There's this constant progression updates. Realcom and Ibicom is they're putting a lot of stuff out there on the social media, LinkedIn and different things, Facebook. And so they're pressing on, and they've got a very interesting digital format that's kind of, cutting edge. And it's going to be the best of both worlds, best of the virtual world and best of the actual real world, where there's going to be live people. I think they're still concerned, there's a lot of people that the fluctuation of this COVID thing is not, there's no consistency. There's no linear progression where we're getting better. It's like it keeps going and falling back. It's more like a wave where it's ebbing and flowing. And so there's a lot of people, I think AHR basically has to back out now from their,
Well, it's funny because I think the cool thing about Jim Young and Howard Berger and Lisa Woods and the team at Realcom Ibicon is I think you're going to get a look at what the future is going to look like, right? Because I think that we're probably going to have more of these pandemics. I mean, there was a whole study. I mean, they've been predicting these super viruses for years, the super germs, right? So this might not be our first dance with this. So I think that we, as a group, need to figure out how to adapt to it. And I think I just got to applaud these guys so much for stepping forward and doing this, because it's risky, it's gutsy, and they're doing it. So I for one am supporting them 100%. Now, hopefully, I'll actually be out there in person. I know we're still trying to get that worked out. But
right, well, Jim Young is he's probably. Well, he's certainly one of the leaders in the whole smart, intelligent, connected buildings. I mean, they're in their 21st year. This will be the 21st Realcom Ibicon. Realcom Ibicon's only, I think, 11 years old. But his philosophy was that we are the the buildings are our space. The buildings are our medium. This is our, this is what we're good at, our sweet spot. So any of the advancements of technology, the things that can, do the three main things that Ashley says: dilute, filtrate, and ventilate. And then monitor. And then maintain temperature. And as we're going to hear a little bit later on here, there's other things that we can monitor, so we can mitigate the risk, and we can do temperature readings, thermal readings, and we can come down to a pretty conclusive, understanding of where we're at. So people, if they're sick, they don't come in. If they are, below the temperature, they come in. The environment, the social distancing are all in place. So what his point was is that we have almost an obligation, responsibility to show people that we can still do this, that we can still function in buildings safely using the technologies and the innovations that are available. And the incredible aspect of what Jim and Howard have put together, and Lisa, is that they're working with the Gaylord Rockies, the Marriott Resort facility, to maybe make permanent changes to their facility with these new innovations, or bring them there on a lease basis, or a temporary basis, so that the people that come there can definitely feel as though they're getting monitored and screened with the best technologies available, so that we're not creating a bad environment. That the environment that's being created is the safest, tested, monitored environment possible.
No, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Well, listen, shifting gears before we get to our guest, I saw this, and it sort of blew me away. And I might not have the facts completely right, but as we know, Elon Musk, I'm already on the list to get a chip put in my brain. But apparently he's got these chips that can go like in the arms and the legs and stuff to make people function better. And I saw some sort of an ad where the unions are sort of protesting against these sort of bionic people that Elon's talking about putting together, because they'll be able to work longer and harder and have more dexterity. So it's like, dude, it's like we're getting so close to being bionic human beings. It's amazing. And what, I don't know how much validity there is to this, but it just got me thinking that, it'll eventually come. And then, is it going to be the type of thing that if you have a chip in your head, then if you don't have a chip in your head, you don't get into college, right? That helps you remember and all that stuff. But I saw a video of him where he had the three pigs, right? The three little pigs, and they had different chips in their head where they were able to monitor different circuits in the brain. And he had a computer screen and all that stuff. And he was looking at it for dealing with depression and brain damage, being able to repair brain damage and stuff like that. So in the midst of all this, Elon Musk is just doing some really interesting stuff that I don't think is getting as much airplay because of all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I think he went off the radar for a while. Once upon a time, let's see, with the SpaceX, I think, when there's both those rocket returned to base and landed on those pads simultaneously, that he was the #1 viewed person in the world. Yeah. And somehow he's still going after everything, all the technologies that you're saying, and the new highways and the new autonomous vehicles that are going to run 24/7, recharge on certain parts of the highway, and he's got all these projects going on. And of course, he's got the big satellite program going on. That's remarkable. I mean, how come that's not in the news all the time? I mean,
it's funny you should say that, Kenny, because one of my neighbors, his dad is staying with him, mom and dad, during COVID. And, we went over there and we're having a happy hour. And his other son works at SpaceX.
Wow.
And he's just talking, you wouldn't believe how much stuff they're putting up every,
I know.
And this guy's the biggest fan of Elon Musk in the world. He says he's one of the brightest, and just working for him, he says he wouldn't want to work for anybody else. So why can't we get Elon to run for president?
Well, you guys said that about Donald Trump, and look, he did, and he won, and now you regret it. So, hey.
I never said that about Donald Trump.
I'm teasing. I don't regret it either. The point is that the genius, the aspects that he's changing our world, and somehow it's not in the public view. He's making the changes; they're being done. Autonomous vehicles are a thing that's coming, regardless of you like it or not. It's here. The battery wall, and the whole idea of the energy and how to use it, and he's winning a very slow he's winning the battles. He's going to win the war, if that's a good analogy.
Well, I know. I think what's going on is he's changing the world while we're all distracted in the media's reporting
Right,
on
that's what I'm
stuff.
saying.
He's just
Rather than
changing it.
watching, we're watching all this crap every day, repeated crap about, this, that, and the other. We should be looking at science and like I'm going to say STEM approach towards the way we live. And so that the younger generations can feel, very secure in the fact that, just like every other generation, it will come through this, it will work out. You will live a happy, constructive life. It's going to be different than the one we have now, but the future looks great.
Yeah.
The more I hear about it, it's just the way the media can make it so depressingly, cruel. All they do is, what they say, if it bleeds, it leads. And Paul Harvey's my greatest point. He talks about, a city where there was robberies, fire, murder, drug overdose, or whatever. And he said that was the front page from 1901.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the whole point.
That hasn't changed. Now, I did see a thing on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. Have you seen that yet?
No.
It's all these Google and Facebook people and all, and behavioral scientists, and they're talking about how we are just, the statement is, if you're not buying a product, you are the product, and how they're manipulating us, how they're using all this sophisticated stuff and machine learning to learn how to manipulate us and get us to buy stuff and do stuff, right? So it's nuts. But basically, you got an algorithm, you got a machine that knows more about you than you do. They study you. They know every place you go. They know what you respond to, what you don't respond to. So then, like, for example, and I didn't believe this was possible till I actually saw it's called The Social Dilemma. And if anybody's seen it, I'd be interested in talking to you about it, because it was really disturbing.
Right.
But, you remember Pavlov's dogs, for example,
Sure.
if I already said, it's like you ring a bell, you give the dog a piece of food, and the dog comes, you give him a biscuit. You ring a bell, the dog comes, you give him a biscuit. Then after a while, you can just ring the bell and the dog starts salivating, right? But it's trained. Your neurology gets trained where it's just out of your awareness, right? So you start thinking about this, and they're able to monitor the amount of dopamine that your mind gets from a like or whatever. They figure it out. They figure out what you like. So then let's just say that they decide that they want Donald to win or Biden to win. It doesn't matter. And then what they do is they put up an image that you really like or something like that, or they fake some likes on something you put up, and then immediately after that they put an ad for Donald Trump, and it gets linked up just the way the stimulus response gets linked up. So this stuff. And as you know, I've studied with hypnosis, so I know how much out of our awareness things are. It's the way magic started. It's what we're not aware of that's influencing us, and they're taking it to a whole new level. So be very interesting.
Well, I did see, I think you may have turned me on to it. One of the guys from, I believe, either Facebook, he started an anti-Facebook campaigns because exactly that they had 100 people that were top in their field figuring out these algorithms that they would chase you on Facebook, and they would be able to not only predict but influence how you would respond.
And document it. So they can go, if you're an advertiser, they can say with certainty, we can guarantee you'll get this much increase in revenue by doing this. But it's all because people are hooked up. And the addiction people are talking about, some of these younger folks are so hooked to their phones and they don't even know it's like a heroin addiction.
Yeah. I see that. But the problem I have, the real big problem I see is not only, that artificial intelligence working to, figure us out before we understand and know so well that we become predictable, we become malleable, we become influenced. But what I don't like is the way it separates your knowledge. So if you Google London, the city of London, and I Google the city of London, you might get a tourist page saying what to see in London. I might get to see what the latest civil actions or something. So it doesn't give you all the things about London. It assumes this is what you want to see, or it tells you this is what you want to see, or even worse, it tells you what you can't see and what you can see, and this is what it wants you to know about London.
No, I'll give you an example. My wife, who is a good bit more liberal than I, we were having a debate about, how many people were killed by police. And she typed it in, she got these figures. I typed it on my computer and got completely different figures.
Right.
So it's like, we're both, well, who's right here? Well, we're kind of both right, which is a problem. So it's nuts. But dude, we could go on and on about that. Anything you want to talk about before we bring our guest on?
No.
Kenny Smyers, man, I am so happy we got some friends in the house that were responsible for this. So how about introducing our next guest?
I'd love to, Eric. We have Barry Gordon. He's the Senior National Sales Engineer. And we have Conner Meloy, who's the Chief Operations Officer at ACI. And they've got some new products to talk about and a new location. Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Well, so glad to have you here. Now, Conner, I know you've been in the industry for a while, but, Barry Gordon's a legend. Our group, our community knows Barry. But let's start off with tell our community a little bit about you and, how you got with ACI and sort of what you think of the industry and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So I'm going on my 6th year in the industry, all here with ACI. Lucky to be here. We got a lot of good things going, have great people, as you just said, Barry Gordon, one of a kind, industry leader, and Troy Schwen, owner. So big time visionary. Troy is looking ahead, what's next for ACI, what's next for the industry. And he's building second generation here. So we're excited. A lot of good things going on. I love the industry. One of the things maybe we'll get into today is how do we attract other young people to the industry? It's a great place, as you guys know, and it's a work in progress for us, but we're trying to do our best to get people to join Team ACI.
Now, what was your background before you got in the industry, and what attracted you to the industry, talking about being attracted to the industry?
Sure. So I have a finance and marketing background. And actually prior to ACI, I worked for a commercial insurance agency here in Madison and had called on Troy. And Troy and I met through mutual friends. And I saw a career with ACI versus, so many people get into their first job out of school and it's a job, right? It's a job. You're off mom and dad's payroll and you're just happy but I wanted a career and I saw that in ACI and in the industry.
Well, and I tell you, ACI, Barry, how many times have you guys been with the local business establishments and like best place to work, best small company and so on? Kenny will know this because he keeps up with those things, but it's quite a company you guys have there. And I guess, sort of starting out, it's like your culture. So, I guess kind of as a first question before we get into the products is talk a little bit about the culture of ACI because you guys just get great results. And then also, has it changed any since COVID came around?
Sure. Do you want me to take this, Barry? You chime in.
Yeah, sure. I'll chime in.
Okay. Awesome. It's people first here at ACI. We truly are a family. One of the really cool things is just the tenure of all of our employees and the opportunity that people are given. So for instance, Barry has been with ACI his whole career almost and has worked in all areas of the company. And has now been one of our leading sales guys for a handful of years. So we like to say we hired good people and then we're able to teach them the business just due to the mentorship program that we have. Barry taking the time to help out the younger sales guys. And then we have a lot of, senior technical guys as well. I believe you guys talked to Matt Buchholz last year or 2 years ago. And
he was best technical support person. Yeah, he was best technical support at the Control Trends Awards. So you guys have won a bunch of Control Trends Awards. Yeah, he's rock solid. But go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
So, it's the family-like culture allows us to collaborate. Very flat organization. So we sit everybody down at the table and we come up with solutions and solutions that are best for ACI and the whole company. And to be able to work with your friends and call them friends and rather than just colleagues that's our approach and that's what we believe and that's how we roll.
I guess to add to that, Conner, been here 6 years. Like I said, we went to, and hung out at a Packer game together. We do a lot of stuff. We go golfing, different stuff outside of work. I'd add to that, to be honest, ACI has actually given my son an opportunity. He just is finishing up college here at UW, University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. And in a Spanish and international business degree. And he just got hired. He just got hired full time by ACI. So he's worked here since he was 16 every summer. when he was going to high school and then in college. And then, like I said, he was just hired at ACI and doing some work in the production area as an assistant. So yeah, I'm very proud of him, and I'm very happy that ACI gave him the opportunity, and, you know, hopefully he can work his way up into a larger position at some time.
Well, that's really super. And, you know, I mean, that the testament to a couple of things we just already talked about. One was getting good talent into our industry, and there's nothing better than the homegrown version. And then nextly, that, you know, ACI has been very, very active in the community. We constantly were posting articles about the initiatives you had. You have you guys had the Bowling for Mendy. You had Adopt a Highway. You have an annual golf outing. You have Senator Ron Johnson visits with you all. And when was that? I don't have a date on that. But Habitat for Humanity. So in other words, part of your culture is to be active and committed to your community. And this is kind of embeds you and integrates you into your community, and helps ACI start from a good, solid foundation and work out to the globe, because ACI is a global company, aren't you? I mean, I've seen some, just through the things and stuff, you've been in India, you have a large presence in India. Where else in the globe are you guys active at the moment?
Last I checked, we probably ship to 68 or 70 different countries. I mean, Connor, you can probably
I didn't mean anybody on the spot there. I'm just saying how, when something is so successful in a local version and part of the community, you know, they always say, you know,
oh yeah,
act local, think global. And ACI is a small but larger company, growing every year to the point where you worked very well in your local area, and then in the industry, BAS, and now you've gone into a global, you know, enterprise. And I think that's just remarkable. You know, it's very, very cool. What about the new location you have? I got a couple of things here I'm teed up to ask, and that's been the one I've been waiting to ask. Is tell us about that new facility. Eric and I were fortunately able to visit with ACI a couple of years ago, and we're very impressed with your operations there. But you guys are really excited about your new building. Tell us about it.
Yeah, a lot has actually changed, and probably since the last time you guys were here. Most recently, we opened our 4th facility right in the Middleton Business Park. So we like to say we're building a little campus right here in Middleton, Wisconsin. All of our buildings are in a 3-block radius. The newest building is an additional 18,000 square feet for us, and the new home of our engineering department and engineering lab, as well as production departments. And we're very excited about it. Kind of our goal with all of it was, first, we needed more space. But not only is this building going to give us a few years to grow into, it's allowing all of our production departments to expand. So as we look at new business opportunities, new potential relationships, we're able to get serious about those and make it happen. So really cool facility. We just had a grill out grand opening last week for all of our employees. We did it as socially distanced as we could. We had small groups of people come over at a time and self-guided tour, and then they grabbed a box lunch, and they got to see the facility.
Very, very, very cool. That's awesome. Well, guys, I tell you what, it's different times, different products. I think the mark of a great company like ACI is that you guys develop products for the times. And we got 4 we want to talk about. And these are either directly or indirectly related to COVID-19. And I think very directly related to business opportunities for contractors that are maybe trying to find a way to help their building owners make the building safer, for building owners that are trying to make the building safer. And why don't we just dive right into those products? It's really exciting.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So we just came out with Voc sensors. So we have wall mount and duct mount versions. They are available with or without a display. They have 4 to 20 or 0 to 10 volt analog outputs, or Modbus RS485. You can get them with the display version. It has the green, yellow, and red. So you have some sort of way to monitor when the air is clean, right? So certain parts per billion is how the particulate matters, the particulate matter is micrometers, measurement 0 to 2.5. And VOC is actually 0 to 1,000 parts per billion.
Now, Barry, how does that relate to, I'm a building owner and I'm thinking, first of all, the first thing that attracts me is the fact that it looks like it's a nice looking display. I can put it on the wall, and I'm assuming that if it's a green light, my people know, hey, the air is clean, right? What does that mean? What does that mean vis-a-vis COVID though? I mean, what?
So it's actually sensing, the particles in the air to know if you have clean air or not. So if it's basically safe to enter that space. So green light, green is go, right? Yellow, you better bring in some more fresh air. Red is not safe. So we have a customer that is looking at it at a large city, and he actually is a building owner that has renters. So he's saying, let's put this let's install this right in the entryway. So they have this display showing green. Green is good. The air is clean. So come on in, right? And let's take that to a next level and put them in each of their apartments. So when they know that they go into their apartments, that their fresh air intakes or their fresh air, their air is clean inside that space. So that's the way that he's really looking at them.
Well, hang on, Barry. I got to go back over this because, again, there's a Chinese proverb that, Kenny's grandfather, Ho Chi Minh Smyers, used to say, with great chaos comes great opportunity. And, believe it or not, in this time, some businesses are thriving and they're really focusing on the solutions here. And what you just said, I'm sitting here thinking, because, I talk to building owners and their biggest thing is, how do we get people to come back into the building? And now what I'm hearing more of, it's more of a marketing thing than anything else. But what it looks like you're showing right there is something that they could put right at the doorway when they walk in. Right. And they know if it's a green light, when you walk in, the building's safe. I think we could market that. It's, and it doesn't look like it's that expensive. So I think, again, if I'm an integrator or a service contractor or a building owner, I think you got something here.
Right. You can use it for monitoring, just simple, like I said, the visual indicator, or you have analog output, so you can actually do control of that space with this sensor.
Well, I think too, with what you have is ACI also has a great temperature and humidity wall unit or duct unit that also is a very important, with ASHRAE says you got to have ventilate, filtrate, and dilute. Dilution's probably at the most important time. So I think that's where your VOC sensor helps you to know that you've got a good dilution. That there's a lot of fresh air in the vicinity, but also the temperature and humidity. They're saying the humidity now 30 to 60% is very, very important for not necessarily to thwart the virus, the COVID virus itself, but rather the host, us. Our mucous membranes work better when we're between 30 and 60%. And also temperature. I mean, so now with you combine your temperature, humidity, and your VOC, now you're kicking. Now you've got an indoor air quality that's pretty much the requirements, because I think it's a little bit more than just the VOCs. You got to have some other very important aspects to your HVAC or your building automation system, and you need to archive it. And I think what ACI has done was made that very easy to do and very affordable. And then you've also taken your temperature and humidity and put it on a backnet. So you can buy the sensors that are immediately discovered on the backnet network. That it's a very, very good option. So what about the next product? So you got a VOC sensor, and it blends well with your portfolio of temperature? Yeah, so
in the same enclosure, I mentioned VOC, we also have particulate matter, so the PM 2.5.
Right.
And that's measuring 0 to 2.5 micrometers. So to put that in perspective, 2.5 micrometers is like 1,000th of a human hair. So right. Very small particles. Again, in the same type of enclosures, wall mount, duct mount, and that's another product that we're very excited about and been getting asked for.
It's very, very nice. I love the displays. Those are handsome. Something I'd be proud to put on my wall. As a matter of fact, I might have to put one on my wall down here at the house.
You'd have to take off one of your mirrors, Eric, to find some space on that wall.
Wow. Hang on.
I was getting back at that Chinese.
Talk to the hand, Kenny Smyers. Talk to the hand. Talk to the hand.
Well, guess what? I got one of those too.
So, from your friends at ACI.
That's right. That's right, you guys. We appreciate that for sure. So now these products, you guys are in production in these now. Are they available now, and when will they be?
Yeah, so we're testing the heck out of them right now. Obviously, we want to make sure this is a product that works for ourselves and our customers, because it is very serious and we want to take this very serious. Full production quantities will be available probably in about 4 weeks. We do have some samples, so if your customers want to test them out along with us, give us their feedback. Obviously, we can ship samples, onesie, twosies in the next day or two. But yeah, full production, Eric, I would say 4 weeks.
Perfect. So I'm assuming you guys are taking pre-orders now.
Yes, absolutely.
So reach out to your local distributor, and if you're in Georgia or Florida, that would be stromquist.com. If you're up in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, or Indianapolis, that'd be Jackson Controls. I mean, I know we're your favorite distributors, even though you can't say that publicly. But I'm excited about this product, guys, and So
yeah, we're very excited.
Well, cool. Well, now we like to play a little deal on control trends occasionally called "Let's Make a Control Deal." So, Barry, I know you introduced Aaron to Olivia Munn. Aaron Rodgers, and you're a big Packers guy, so you're a man of influence. Anything you want to do to sweeten the pot here?
How about if we get orders from Particulate Matter or Voc Sensors, we throw in some ACI wear. Maybe an ACI golf shirt.
Nice.
Little swag.
Swag, yeah. Well, I was kind of thinking along the lines that, whoever was, how about we do this? You get swag if you order X amount through your local distributor, right? And if you don't know who that is, we'll put a link to ACI and also a link to, where you can locate their distributor. But I think, what do you say in the next 30 days, whoever orders the most over a certain point gets to come hang out with you and Aaron and Olivia in Green Bay and maybe watch a replay of a Packers game at the new ACI location.
Deal.
Do that.
What do you think, guys? Would that work? Or you can come to Atlanta and hang out with me in my basement with my kids.
I think the Packer game, let's go to Lambeau.
Lambeau, there you go. I like the way Connor thinks, for sure. But guys, how are you seeing, because obviously you guys are global, so you got a unique perspective. It's not just domestic, but how are you seeing things sort of shape up both domestically and globally vis-a-vis, COVID, and how do you guys see this thing maybe shaking out?
We were kind of talking before we started recording about the industry as a whole, and, we are steadily growing as a company every year. This year, the spike wasn't as great as it has been in previous years, unfortunately. I think that's a lot due to this spring when COVID hit, when everybody, came to a screeching halt and nobody was out selling projects or their products or anything. So we're kind of seeing that hangover, I guess, now, 6 to 9 months later. But I think it's slowly starting to increase again, to be honest. We're starting to see an uptick of business again, which is a good thing. New products certainly will help that. So we're very excited.
Very, very cool. What about you, Connor? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would agree with Barry. The interesting thing that we talked about, prior to going live here was, we're going to have to, and building owners are going to have to get serious about giving people and their employees an excuse to go back to the office. It's a lot easier for people to wake up with their PJs on and climb to their desk and hop on a Zoom meeting. So what that will do for the industry is, we're going to have to get smarter and better, like those VOC sensors, like the PM sensor. We got to give people an excuse. And it'll be interesting to see how people adapt to that. We talked about hospitals and healthcare. And then even universities. I mean, everybody's looking for a discounted way or a way to discount education, right? And if you're not allowing the students to come into class or lecture halls, they're going to look for every opportunity to see a cut in tuition. And so as a team, collectively, there's going to be some interesting things that happen. And I think we'll get through this as an industry, as a country, as everybody collectively, but definitely an interesting time.
Yeah, it is. I've used this example before, but I'll repeat it to you guys. There's a chain here in Georgia called Trader Joe's. It's, a little grocery store. You got probably them up your way too.
We do.
And it never was really my favorite store. But then I went in, in the midst of COVID. And my point in bringing this up is that I think there's really an opportunity, more so now than probably ever, to differentiate your business if you really understand what the customers are wanting. Because I don't like their food that much. It's okay. But the first time I walked in, there's somebody at the door. She's got a mask on. She's handing out masks to other people. She puts the hand sanitizer on. She goes, oh, by the way, these carts have been sanitized here. Here's a wipe if you want to wipe them down more. You go in the store. They got people making sure people are keeping their social distancing. And, and they're just dialed in. So what they're really selling here is a safe experience to go garage. And they've won my business. And it wasn't about the product. It wasn't about the pricing. It was about, well, what's important to me now is obviously safety. So I think there's a real opportunity for those who sort of seize on that as being, I think one of the main drivers right now.
For sure. And back to the VOC and PM sensors. I mean, PM is particulate matter, but it should be called peace of mind sensor. And that's what we're selling to people, right? It's peace of mind. Give me an excuse to come back into a clean space, to grocery shop at Trader Joe's. I want that peace of mind.
Yeah. Well, I think you're seeing, it began with ASHRAE when they had to respond to this. Everybody's looking for, information, source documentation, standards of some sort. What do we do here? And ASHRAE put together a strike team, 120 top guys in the industry, and it was amazing how, well, number one, I give them congratulate them how quickly they got it together, but it's the basics. It's going back into, so when you tell somebody you've got a good, clean building, it's going back to the basics, clean filters, ventilation, dilution, and again, filtration. The standard that'll come out will probably require, we'll start to see in specs that you're going to have a VOC sensor. You're going to have archival, histories that you've maintained the temperatures and the humidity. Otherwise, you can't tell people you have a safe building. I mean, it's one thing to have a green light at the doorway, but I mean, you've really, building owners are really, truly wrestling with the realities that a lot of them were caught flat-footed. Their buildings were substandard. They didn't have things the way they wanted to. And then, like here in the Northeast, winter's coming. It's going to make it's even going to exacerbate that fresh air and everything. It's going to be expensive because right now, there's very little. You're closing off your return air in many cases because the whole idea was to filtrate or to ventilate and dilute the air and get the air that's in the space out and replace it with fresh air. So I think you guys are on the right track. I think that the VOC and the particulates are going to become an expected, a requirement, almost like to the point where we've seen the placemic thermostats get thrown away, and we see people when they expect the accuracy, where they take their smartphone and they take the temperature and they match that up with a sensor. It better be, plus or minus that small percentage, half a degree or degree. And so I think it'll become a standard. Right now it's probably, if we can afford it, or if we can fit it in, or if we get enough points. But I think pretty soon we're going to see the ASHI and ASHRAE requirements start to specify that these spaces have, in order for people to feel that, like you said, that excuse to come back into the building. And what's really interesting is that Ken St. Clair and Eric and I had talked to him about the repurposing of buildings or whatever, but there's going to be, a premium put on places that do advertise that you have the COVID-19 and beyond. In fact, COVID-19, that term is saying, don't use it anymore because COVID, basically the phase is past. It's now bio protection, put up a bio fence, so all these things now, so that many people think that once the COVID's over, the need to do this is over. That's not true. It's we've ratcheted up that everybody will expect this kind of a response from this point forward. Well,
I love what Conner came up with, the peace of mind sensor. That's brilliant. I think
that's pretty good.
POM. Yeah. I needed one of those POM sensors. Well, guys, listen, you guys, I mean, we've just talked about a couple of your products. Barry and Conner, if you don't mind, break down some of the other key components in your portfolio. I think most people in the industry know about you guys, but just in case.
Like a leak sensor. Yeah, Barry, you guys can introduce the leak sensor. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Trying to find what I do with it here.
We've already put some quotes out there. It's pretty.
So spot leak detector.
Right.
Very simple, it's adjustable. Mounted on the ground or drip pans. Moisture gets on those little tabs.
Right.
And it trips a relay, sets an alarm. So any digital input on your controller, I wish I would have had one of them a few years back when my basement flooded.
I had a situation with the water heater, same thing. Yeah, it's great. And again, and that's actually could be used in that could be used in a residential application too.
Exactly.
Not necessarily commercial, anywhere you have a requirement. So that's cool. I'm on your website, so I'm cheating, guys. I'm looking at your media. I'm looking at your webinars, your tutorials, and your product videos. So I'm ready to start asking questions about that. So let's cover the products, and then we're going to tell people about what the ACI has put together a very formidable website full of information and tutorials and product videos that I want to make sure everybody knows about.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time with that. So another product that I do want to note today, we added armored cable to our wet differential pressure transmitters. So a lot of electrical codes inside the space or inside the mechanical room state that exposed wires, so our remote sensors, did not have this metal clad cabling on it. So we have added that to the wet differential pressure transmitters just to protect the wiring and, like I said, to meet that electrical code for you guys and your customers.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a very good thing. Those are very successful differential pressure transmitters. I'll tell you what, I really, it took a while for them to catch on because they were mounted on the wall, and then they had the nice little connections that made it very easy. Yeah.
The remote sensors are a nice option because a lot of our competitors have the sensors right at the enclosure. So that means you have to run plumbing to the unit and also have a 3 or 5 valve shutoff manifold. With the remote sensors, you do not have to. Just put one on the supply and one on the return. And then on the display, it'll actually have that pressure differential on the display itself. So there'll be 3 different displays on there. The differential showing that PSI, and then the supply and the return. And that's
very, very good product. Yeah, it's a very successful product.
Well, and you guys have so many just great, I mean, the thermistor sensors, the sensors, the temperature sensors, the temperature, humidity. I mean, I know a lot of our integrators sort of rely on you guys for, quality, very price competitive sensors. And yeah, I mean, what else, Barry? What do you and Connor, what do you guys, I mean, obviously the new products you're proud of, but.
Yeah, we manufacture, like I mentioned, temperature, humidity, differential pressure, both on the wet and dry side. Current sensors and switches. We are coming out with a new ECM motor current sensor, so stay tuned for that. That's something we're working on. It's in the final stages. CO2 sensors we manufacture. We get involved with all sorts of gas detection and controllers. So yeah, a lot of good things going on. Interface devices, freeze stats, duct smoke detectors, pretty much anything that's in the building automation DDC system. We have a sensor, transmitter, or switch for.
Yeah, the free stats are very, very, very good products too. We sell a lot of those, just because they're straightforward and very well priced.
Well, it's time to be checking those now. It's getting close, right?
That's right.
Weather's starting to get a little cooler, little chill in there. So Connor, I got to ask you, since your background is finance, and I mean, looking just at the global economy, primarily let's look at the equities market and the stock market, and we got an election coming up. The stock market's crazy. I mean, obviously, if you're doing business in all these different countries, you're probably, or somebody for you is hedging with different currencies and stuff like that. How are you liking the U.S. dollar vis-a-vis the other currencies right now? Our trade tip of the week.
And yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. It's been interesting, to say the least, going into an election year, and a lot of people keeping a pulse on that. And the divide is as great as it's ever been. People have COVID at top of mind, and others have economy and economic growth at top of mind. And I think the two candidates obviously have a difference in opinion when it comes there. But so to answer your question, I think the American dollar is solid. It's going to be interesting, though. It's weird. You reference the stock market, and people would say, well, how are we doing as well as we're doing with everything and all the craziness in the world, in our country? It's bizarre, to say the least. It's been good, though. It's a good ride.
Well, what has, and I've talked to people in different countries, and I think part of it is, as bad as it is, the U.S. stock market is probably still the safest place for your money, and probably the dollar too. But Kenny's cousin, the pilot, used to say, buckle your seatbelts. We're probably in for a little bit of bumpy air here.
Well,
A little turbulence.
Yeah, I think for sure. Well, guys, what's the best website for them to reach out and get more information, you guys, on the products and stuff like that?
Workaci.com.
Workaci.com. And then, you know what? You can always look for Barry Gordon, Barry Downtown Gordon, as he's known in the Controls Trends Award circles. And guys, we will put the videos up for the different products that you talked about, so if people want a deeper dive on that. I encourage you to look at it. You know, this is a great offer. It's not often you get to hang out with Barry, Downtown Gordon, Aaron Rodgers, Olivia Munn, and Connor. But man, I tell you what, I that would be enough of an inducement for me to want to place an order for some of these sensors. What about you, Kenny? I know you're competitive. You're probably going to act like you're not going to do it, but I know you. You'll probably place an order.
Are you kidding? We buy handsomely from ACI. In fact, the most recent product that caught our attention because it had the best in price was the combo temperature and humidity with MagNet. We got a project going in, and it's just perfect fit. I think that's the big thing about ACI is, again, you guys don't, you speak softly but carry a big stick. So in other words, the things that normally cause us the greatest headaches are the ones that should be avoided because it's the sensors, it's the easy stuff that people try to, make it as inexpensive as possible, and it winds up haunting them. So I think ACI has put a fix in there. We use a ton of the humidity transmitters and the CO2 sensors. Good stuff. The ASense, just really, really strong performance. And I think the new molding he came out with, the Euro molding, the white European look is very, very desirable compared to some of the other sensors, so that when people they'll describe the sensor, that R2 sensor enclosure, and we'll know what they're talking about. It'll be the ACI version. I think that you guys had a very good forward roadmap. What do you guys have? What do you see yourself? I think everybody was coming up with smart devices and smart this, that, and the other, and I think the ACI stayed a pretty straight course. You got into the communication protocols and conquered them. I think you have all the interface modules taken over. You got a great wireless portfolio, really heavy duty, 900 megahertz, and they really solve some riddles when you have open space. A wireless option is great. But what do you have on the roadmap? Anything you guys can share with us for the future?
Connor, I'll let you just take that.
Yeah, sure. So Barry referenced one of them, the ECM current switch, which will be out here in the new year. We're excited about that. Looking at some other things, I mean, developing all of the lines that we talked about, where's temp going, humidity, current, pressure, getting smarter as the industry gets smarter. So all of that is in the pipeline.
Super.
Some things we can't share right now, but we'll have a couple new products come out next year besides the ECM current switch.
I know I had one question for you, Barry. I know you guys used to be very, very active in all the trade shows. I mean, you came into Pittsburgh sometimes to support us there. I mean, you've come to the Control Trends, you've been to AHR. You guys, what's going on now? Are you guys just kind of in a travel moratorium? Are you allowed to go out there? Are you traveling?
So no, I mean, we are not. ACI as a whole kind of made our own rule that we are not going to be traveling the rest of the calendar year. So what we've been doing is what we're doing right now. I've been doing a lot of virtual lunch and learns, and it's worked out great. But yeah, hopefully by next year, first quarter, I'll be back flying around and seeing you guys again face to face.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, listen, guys, we are so appreciative. Workaci.com is a website. Guys, can we get you to come back on maybe once a quarter? It's been so great catching up with you guys, and you guys do such great stuff. Get you come back on next quarter, maybe?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. All right, Downtown. Connor, thank you so much, guys. Have a great
All right,
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Take care.
Thank you. All right.
All right, man. Kenny Smithers. Man, Connor is such a cool dude. He looks like a potential young gun to me, brother. What do you think?
Well, there's about 5 things that were very interesting in the conversation with Connor, and that is how he met ACI and how he got involved in ACI, what his background was, and then the comments he had about being a family business versus just a job. It's like he joined a community and he really appreciates it, enjoys it, and how they met was through an insurance reason or insurance meeting. And I think that's just the way the world is. That's serendipity, or however you want to. The likelihood of things happening when you don't expect them to happen is it's magnificent. And yeah, he's doing a great job. ACI is on a growth curve, and the new facility, can't wait to see it. We've been invited to take a look at it. I know the last time we were up there, we were very impressed. Again, because they just do it. And again, in their area of Wisconsin, they're regarded as one of the best small companies to work for, and it's year in, year out.
And I remember we've known Barry downtown Gordon since we were all three younger. We've known him for a while. He's a great guy,
When we think about it, so we're talking close to 30 years.
Dude, unfortunately, I think about that a little bit too much these days. But all right, Big Dog, anything else you got before we hop off?
No, we just had a review of this is a interesting time period. We're coming into the fall, heavy fall. In fact, the leaves turned instantly. We have 36-degree lows and 70-degree highs. So it's a heck of a day. But oh boy, you can tell the change in urgency when you go from air conditioning to heating.
Yeah.
Air conditioning, people get mad and they're upset, they're angry, they're ornery. But man, when you don't have heat and you need heat, I'll tell you what, it's a different customer and a different sense of urgency. So it's going to be an interesting winter. What did you hear? I mean, you guys, let's face it, you have a very mild winter, and I'm jealous of you sometimes. I'll be in snow and you'll be in sun. I'll be wearing a sweater, turtleneck, and you'll be wearing shorts and t-shirts.
Atlanta's like that. I mean, meaning in the wintertime, to your point, we could have 22 degrees one day and the next day it could be 68, 70 degrees, right? And there was a downside to Atlanta winter, it'd be the summertime just because the humidity is so bad. But outside of that, it's really, a really benign climate, I think.
That's nice. And I know that the older I get, the more we look forward to a break from the winter, because we can have a winter that starts in mid-November, right before Thanksgiving, and not end until the end of February.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like Grand Forks, North Dakota. Those people, that was
the worst of all worlds, wasn't it?
They deserve bravery, red badges of courage.
Well, you've heard the saying "heaven on earth," and I think Grand Forks, from what you tell me, is hell on earth, right?
Well, it was just a really rough climate, and it really. You had to be on your toes in the wintertime, because I'll tell you what, minus 30 degrees and minus 20 degrees. And I always think of Laura Cavett. Whenever I complained about the weather, she said that where International Falls, Minnesota was even colder.
Yeah,
so maybe a degree or two, but but anyhow, it's exciting because I think, again, we've repositioned ourselves. Everybody's kind of starting out with a little bit more caution. I think everybody's awareness has increased marvelously. I think the masking thing, I think people understand that they have a responsibility, and it's working. I don't know, the statistics anymore. It's not something I really look forward to hearing. The tragedies and just
it all depends on who you talk to and which channel you're on. And I think that's part of what's exasperating about it is if you could just have a reliable source that you trusted, that didn't have an agenda one way or another. I'm not just talking political, but as you said at the beginning of the show, the weeds it leads, and this has been a real boon for the entertainment. I mean, the news industry, right? I mean,
right.
and they keep us glued. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that, dude. I want to get on with the rest of the day.
No, but you said what's new. Let's just do a review of the Control Trends post. You posted the new connected thermostat from Distech. Could be a game changer. The Eclipse connected thermostat is your new go-to solution for upcoming hotel, commercial, office, high-rise residential and education projects. We had a Tritium talk, add value to your service agreements with Enterprise SMA and Niagara Asset Manager. We had Haystack Connections is calling for advertising sponsors. A great opportunity to get networked and the right kind of people. We're kind of an esoteric industry, and these are the people, the who's who in our industry. And then LinkSpring came out with some changes, some new products, and that post will be going up next. And so with that, it's a pretty calm week in our world.
Yeah. Well, so let's get ready to say goodbye to our audience here.
Okay, let me get the.
Because we don't bring the bobbleheads out often, but when we do,
right.
It reminds me when we wore the orange bow ties Josh Bradshaw gave us. King of Silicon Valley. All right, here we go. Well, thank you for tuning in to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast. A very special thanks to our guests from ACI, and again, thanks to ACI for these bobbleheads. We'll see you again next week. Until then, remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant, and stay safe.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers. And that's a wrap. All right. See you later.